You're hanging out in the House of Sunny podcast, where it's always sunny, mostly because of your host, comedian and YouTuber, Sunny Lohmann. Want to know what Sunny and her friends are thinking about this week? Well, here she is, Sunny Lohmann.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm here with Sidekick Doug from The Rational Capitalist and Ashley. Say hello, you guys.
Hello.
Hi. This is going to be a fun show because we're focusing on pure comedy today. We're going to get into the comedy at the White House Correspondent's dinner.
So
and
we're not
break
focusing
it down.
on comedy.
Should be hilarious. What'd you say, Doug?
So we're not focusing on comedy.
Right. Well, we're focused on what it should be and ought to be. But
Yes.
first, Doug has a real joke for us.
I do?
Yeah. You said you were going to tell that joke.
Oh, the one. Okay.
This just happened yesterday, Doug.
This is the joke you sent me to tell?
Yes. All right. Meanwhile, while Doug is looking up his dumb joke that I gave him to tell, Ashley, why don't you tell us what you wanted to talk about? You said you wanted to talk about something?
Okay, so the dogs are annoying. They're an issue, right?
You want to talk about your dogs?
Yeah, I bought
So you
special
killed them?
treats.
You bought him special poison treats?
Yeah, no, I bought them. There's these, they're called Billy Sticks, but they're like cow dicks that you give your
What?
dogs.
Wait.
Yeah,
That's called a billy stick?
yeah.
Wait, they're actual cow penises?
Yeah.
Are you
And the
freaking
dog-
serious?
No,
How
yes,
did you come across this?
my brother.
She's a farm girl. What?
You were searching the web for cow dicks,
Yes.
and you
no,
realized you could
I
use
got
them
them at
for
Costco.
dog food. Costco has them?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Pro tip. Costco has cow dicks for your dogs. And notice they're not barking.
Yes, they're very happy right now.
They're all filled up.
I'm so grossed out. Now,
They-
don't let your dog kiss you after this, Ashley. That's all I have to say.
So they are, their mouths are full.
Yes,
Oh.
they're occupied. That's for sure.
Wow.
Hey, Ash, your sound is a little muffled.
Is it?
Yeah. So, Doug, did you find the joke that I texted you to tell?
yeah,
on the
okay.
podcast?
Ready?
Yes.
I ended up with an older woman at a club last night. She looked okay for a 57-year-old.
Nice delivery.
We drank a bit and started to get real friendly, and she asked if I'd ever had a sportsman's double. What's that? I asked. It's a mother and daughter threesome, she said. I said, no. We drank a bit more. Then she says that tonight was my lucky night. We went back to her place. She put on the hall light and shouted upstairs, Mom, you still awake?
That delivery was so bad. You killed that good joke. And not in a good way. Not like you killed as in you killed. Oh my God.
I literally killed it.
Doug just gave a lesson on how to murder a good joke. If you want to call us and tell us a joke for next week, please do that so I don't have to give Doug a joke. Call
Well,
the
you
number.
should have told it. You tell it. Tell it again.
Call the number 7. I'm not a guy. That's a total dude joke. You have to be a man to tell that joke.
Okay.
Call the number 707-681-5834. Or if you have a question you want to ask us, call us, 707-681-5834. Also, I'm going to make my pitch here for Patreon. I don't know if you're not following me on Facebook, go ahead and do that, although you might not be seeing my posts anyway. No, I do have a lot of activity on my Facebook page, actually. And
Yeah, your Facebook page is awesome.
yeah,
I enjoy
it's
it.
fun, and there's quite a community on there that are engaged. So the comment section is always fun. And anyway, one thing that's been happening to me, and I've said this before on the show, I think, is that, like, say I post a meme or something that's really funny, and I get this burst of page likes on that day. And on that same day and the next day, I get a burst of page unlikes, coincidentally. And this happens consistently. And when I go and analyze those page unlikes, 75% of them are Facebook generated, and they have various reasons for this. You know, one being, oh, we eliminated some suspicious accounts. And so, you know, it would make sense. Like, I wouldn't be so suspicious. It would be hard to be suspicious if you thought, well, okay, on the day that I'm most visible, more people are seeing my meme and they're saying, I don't want that. And they're unliking the page. And you could understand that you would get more unlikes on the same day that you got likes. But these are Facebook generated. And so what? I'm supposed to believe that on the day that I'm doing something great that people love, Facebook is also finding more, coincidentally, more suspicious accounts that day related to my page. So, you know, I don't know what's going to happen here, but
diabolical.
Between that and just, you know, not knowing what's going to happen with social media and where we're going to be able to reach out to people, I definitely reach out to people on the Patreon. If you join up there, you're going to be joining the Elite Squad. We're going to do more of that and stuff. We're going to do some town halls and some live videos and stuff coming up as soon as I'm willing to show my face on camera, which is coming up because I'm actually doing pretty well. And anyway, between that and I need to hire a new producer because that's a long story, which maybe I'll tell next time. And I think it's going to be a little
talk more about producers.
No, let's talk about that next time. I think that it's going to be a little more expensive, and we're going to do video soon, and we want to up the production and stuff. So join our Patreon. That's all I can say. There are rewards, so you're not just doing it for nothing. You'll get some cool swag with your entry into Sunny's Elite Squad. So that's it. Go over to Patreon/House of Sunny. I know you get a lot of people saying to you, social media is crushing me. Go join my Patreon. But I really mean it. Those people don't mean it.
For the elite,
really need it. Those people
for the elite donors too, I'm considering a promotion where I come to your house and take a dump to simulate the black guys at Starbucks.
We'll send out some cow dick pics.
Yeah. Or no, just send them a Billy stick.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to call it a Billy stick.
Yeah.
You're going to get
package of
anyone who signs up this week gets a package of Billy sticks.
Oh my gosh.
Great.
On Ashley. All right, and the other thing, here's my shameless pitch.
You have to tear those Billy sticks out of their cold, dead paws. It seems like
one of her dogs is a pit bull. Don't mess with that dog.
Mm-mm.
All right.
I am going to do a shameless pitch now to get you to listen to this whole show. I'm going to tell a joke at the end of the show. It's going to be way better than Doug's delivery. It's an immigration joke, so you have to listen to the whole show if you don't want to miss it.
Wow, one joke.
Yeah, people will sit here for 45 minutes for one joke, I'm sure.
Or they'll fast forward to it. Okay. But don't do that.
People don't do that. Don't tell them how to do that. Okay. So
no one's figured it out yet.
Let's talk about comedian Michelle Wolf and the White House Correspondent Dinner. Now, we're recording this. Normally, we record on Tuesdays for release on Thursday, and we're recording this Thursday morning. So normally, I would play clips of Michelle Wolf and her little comedy bits, but we're just going to talk about them so that I don't have to do too much work. I will play the section. Maybe I need to set this up. So, okay. The White House Correspondents' Dinner is an event held every year where supposedly politicians and press people mingle. It's high, they wear gowns and everything because they don't mingle the rest of the year, is what they want us to believe. But it's really just a big elitist dinner. It really is. Washington elites get to go to this dinner. And every year they have a comedian do kind of, I don't want to say it's a roast. It's not always a roast. It's usually just comedy. And a lot of times the president goes, and the president even does some comedy. Sometimes it's a little roastish, but usually good-natured. It's usually, with the exception of, I think, when Colbert did it, it's usually pretty... What year was that? Anyone want to look that up?
Colbert. No, but I know Conan O'Brien did it a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually...
And he's left, but he's an actual comedian.
Well, and it's usually a little controversial, and it's usually a leftist. I mean, obviously, all these people are progressives, so even the Republicans in Washington are mostly progressive. So, on some level. So it's usually Democrat slanted humor. But it's usually in fairly good taste, and it's good-natured, and it's supposed to be an event that kind of brings everybody together to laugh. So, anyway, this year they picked this comedian, Michelle Wolf, who couldn't be more SJW. I mean, her whole slant is just severe hard left, if her jokes tell you anything about her. Although, in this age of kind of like anti-Trump resistance, I'm not surprised that they picked somebody like that. But her jokes crossed the line even for a lot of Democrats. She was being defended by Kathy Griffin of the I'm holding a severed head of our president fame.
Yeah, with friends like these.
But other than that, a lot of mainstream, I would say, but still, even mainstream Democrats are left. They're quite left-leaning at this point.
By the way, I think Kim Jong-un and Putin and the Castro family also defended this.
They also defended Michelle Wolf. Yeah, that makes sense. But even hard leftists were like, oh my God, that was too much. So we also just want to talk about the comedy, like the fact that leftist comedy is so dumb. It's so unfunny. It's like playground level humor, and it's not clever. They're so desperate to kind of get out a message that they've forgotten how to take it to the next step and make it funny. I mean, that's what's going on. They're just lecturing. They're not telling jokes.
Right. They're giving op-ed pieces.
Yeah.
They're not telling jokes. They're just stating their opinion in a bombastic way that gives it the veneer of a joke, but really it's just them stating a political position in a really aggressive and hostile way. And so they've completely lost the whole concept of humor, surprise and twist and setup and punchline. It's just, you're bad, you're a liar.
Okay, so I'm going to tell one of her jokes right now, and this is just a case in point. You tell me where the joke is here. There's no joke here. Okay, so here's one of her jokes. I know there's a lot of people that want me to talk about Russia and Putin and collusion, but I'm not going to do that because there's also a lot of liberal media here, and I've never really wanted to know what any of you look like when you orgasm. Like that's
not bad. That's probably the best one.
No, it's not
honestly.
The best one. What are you talking about? It's just dumb.
I mean, I'm saying relative to the rest of her
You know what was funny is her next line. Can I tell you what the next? So after she says that, she says, "Except for you, Jake Tapper." Now that got a laugh out of me because he's like the hottie of the media. Ashley doesn't understand this. He's like the hot guy on CNN who's not gay.
Nice.
Yeah. But the joke of just saying, I'm not going to talk about Russia and Putin and collusion because I don't want to see you orgasm. I don't know. That's a pretty lame joke to me. But Doug, obviously, your humor.
I thought it was
a
joke. I mean, that's the. To me, there's 90% of this isn't a joke. That's the first. It's actually an attempt to be clever.
I see what you're saying,
and it surprised me. And it was.
I see what
you're
saying.
Tapper thing,
so you think it's funny because she's flipping it. She's saying, "I'm not going to talk about that." So in that way, she's flipping it and not making it as lectury.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's put it this way: when she does it straight like that, when she does a real joke, to me that's dumb. That's just like kind of toilet humor. I don't know.
Okay.
It's not as funny.
All right. So there's is it a joke or isn't it? And then if it's a joke, how funny was it?
Because here's another one.
I think we have two scales here.
Here's another one that's exactly the same formula as the last one. Now, I know a lot of people really want me to go after Trump tonight, but I think we should give the president credit when he deserves it. Like he pulled out of the Paris Agreement. And I think he should get credit for that because he said he was going to pull out and he did. And that's a refreshing quality in a man.
I mean, I think again, that is a joke. It's not just a statement.
Right.
Or an op-ed piece. So it is a joke. On the scale of 1 to 10, I'd say it's maybe a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, it's a bad
But at
joke.
least it's a joke.
Well,
yeah, but it's a
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So let's have these two questions.
So she
Is
told
it
a
a
lot of
joke or
jokes.
isn't it?
Yeah, okay. That's true.
She started off the first 5 minutes there were some jokes.
Yes, absolutely. There are jokes here. I'm not saying I don't know. With all the people saying, "Oh, she's not funny." I don't think she's unfunny. Totally. She's a comedian. She's paid her dues. She knows how to tell a joke and write a joke. But a lot of these jokes are just really not good. They're just like that. Those two jokes that I just told, that's like as funny as it gets. Or another thing that happens a lot with her jokes is that she's so focused on the things that the left just kind of really gets hyper focused on. Like there's a joke right at the beginning at Roy Moore's expense. I mean, I don't even remember who Roy Moore is. He's some crazy guy who ran for office and didn't win.
Yeah. He was a senator that was accused of.
But he never won. He never got into office. He's just some crazy dude running. I mean, if we held up every crazy Dem that ran for office.
Yeah, right.
As like, indicative of, if we clung to that and made jokes.
Well, how about the Dems that won office, like Robert Byrd, who was the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan.
Or Maxine
and he was a
Waters.
senator
I mean,
for 40 years.
We can endlessly make jokes about the idiots that actually have made it into office on the Dem side. And I'm not saying that there aren't idiot Republicans, because there are. But this guy, Roy Moore, I don't know much about him, and he was basically accused of pedophilia because he dated a 14-year-old or something. And someone else came forward that he aggressively made a pass at her when she was young and worked in a diner or something like that. But as we know, the left is paying people to come forward with stories like this. So right. I'm not really...
somewhat in dispute. But the point of what she said, I'm 32 years old, which is an odd age, 10 years too young to host this event, and 20 years too old for Roy Moore. And then her follow-up was, I know, he almost got elected. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I mean, it's
weird.
So 10 years too young to host this event and 20 years too old for Roy Moore. That is technically a joke. But again, it's just like, it's kind of a lame joke. And the subject is so uninteresting and only interesting to somebody on the hard left. Like, nobody's grabbing Roy Moore as like a standard of Republican candidacy except the hard left. Nobody remembers him except the hard left. And
right. In fact, Trump even, I think, originally campaigned against him. He only came out for him when, there was a question of the balance of the Senate. And so there was a lot of controversy over that, even amongst Republicans. And so that was a really, I guess, controversial issue that didn't end up playing out. And the guy lost anyways. And a lot of the mainstream Republicans were pissed that he even ran. They thought he should have resigned and let someone else, because it was such a Republican district that they lost. And so it's not even relevant. And it's not that funny. It's just, he likes young girls. And then she says, he almost got elected.
Yeah,
huh?
It was fun. It was fun. Yeah, I mean, that's the lectury part. Like, I know he almost got elected. It's like, what are you saying? What are you even saying? That's not funny. So going back to how she starts the whole thing out, her first joke is, here we are at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Like a porn star says when she's about to have sex with Trump, let's get this over with. That's not funny at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I guess it's a joke, but, right away it's somewhat topical. It's a joke, but it's probably over the line for this context and this dinner.
It's over the line, but honestly, I also just find it, if a porn star is having sex, first of all, what's horrible about him maybe having sex with this porn star is that he was married at the time, not that he had sex with this woman. And if she's saying, let's get this over with, I doubt it. I mean, the guy's a freaking billionaire. She's probably trying to get something. She's probably pretty happy to be there. So like the whole thing just doesn't, I know that I'm like over analyzing this and you don't normally do that with jokes, but there has to be a truth behind a joke that makes it funny, or, you know, and then also a surprise. And so there's just none of that here really, except that it's topical that a porn star slept with Trump. Mm-hmm. So here's a funny joke though. Here's one that I liked. And she says it right after that one. She says, just a reminder to everyone, I'm here to make jokes. I have no agenda. I'm not trying to get anything accomplished. So everyone that's here from Congress, you should feel right at home.
Yeah, that to me, that was the best joke.
That was a good joke right there.
That was it. And then it went downhill from there.
Yeah. So we'll break down a few more of these, and then we're going to get to the real controversy happened somewhere in the middle. She went after Sarah Sanders Huckabee really personally, and Sarah was sitting on the dais, so like 3 feet away from her. You know,
and she was a guest of honor.
She was a guest of honor, and she just tore into her, and it was so awful that the room. First of all, the other thing, to the credit of the people in the audience, there was a lot of crickets to this performance.
Oh yeah,
people were not laughing, and you know, I think some were trying to laugh, but they were laughing and then kind of nervously in the small clusters of laughter and a lot of silence. And when she went after Sarah, the room was quiet, so it was pretty icky. And that's where most people condemned her performance, was really that. Not so much how she goes after Trump and stuff, but what she did to Sarah. Personally.
So let me tell a few here that I thought were particularly horrible. Like which I think illustrates part of our point. She's talking about the House and the Senate, and she said, you know, talking about the Democrats, you guys think you might flip the House and Senate. You guys always find a way to mess it up. You're somehow going to lose by 12 points to a guy named Jeff Pedophile Nazi Doctor.
Yeah.
Oh, is he a doctor? As if, you know, her characterization of all Republicans is that they're pedophile Nazis. I mean, huh? That's a joke?
Yeah.
So then she's going after Ivanka.
Oh, yeah, that was horrible.
And she said she's the diaper genie of the administration. On the outside, she looks sleek, but the inside, it's still full of shit.
Yeah, so the joke there is the diaper genie, you know, is having a simile. She's like a diaper genie. But everything else, just a basic simile like that is not a full joke. And then she finishes where normally you would have a joke, like with a surprise or something, and instead she just has an insult.
So here's probably one of the worst ones, if I could even have that category. She's talking about Kellyanne Conway. You guys have got to stop putting Kellyanne on your shows. All she does is lie. If you don't give her a platform, she has nowhere to lie.
Yeah.
All she does is lie. That's a joke? Really? And then get into her Sarah Sanders stuff. I think that was the most egregious.
I'm not going to do that quite yet.
Oh.
Okay. It's my show, Doug.
Let's talk.
Just kidding.
Please. Can I talk about the money one? Because I thought that was particularly one that
talk about the money one. So this is, I think, your point about this. Doug and I were talking about this yesterday. Is a really new point that I haven't heard anyone else making. And while you do that, I will queue up the Sarah Sanders video.
Oh, okay. Well, so this is a joke that she made that I really didn't hear get any attention. It was sort of a throwaway line, but I think it represents an aspect of the progressive left.
It wasn't a throwaway line. She goes, after she threw that line out, she went through this whole thing with the audience. Trump is so... Well, you get into it.
Oh, yeah. You know, you're totally right. Yeah, she did. She did the whole Trump is so broke. So the big joke was Trump's really broke. He's really not as rich as he claims to be. And she said, Mr. President, I don't think you're very rich. I think you might be rich in Idaho, but in New York, you're doing fine. So to me, this is an amazing joke coming from a supposed progressive liberal from New York City. So this is someone who supposedly empathizes with the poor and the destitute or something. Here she's essentially saying Trump, probably only have hundreds of millions, maybe not billions. And so in the shitty, trashy flyover states, that's rich. But New York, i.e., amongst me and my friends in my circle, you're doing fine. You're really not that rich. Now, I don't know about you two, but I know a handful of people that would probably be real happy to have only a couple $1,000,000 or only a few hundred million. Like, what the F kind of a statement is that?
Right.
And I think it just, for someone who's supposedly coming from her side of the aisle, to make such a kind of, it's such a level of arrogance and eliteness to say, oh, he thinks he's rich because he only has a few hundred million. Well, in New York, you're just fine. That's such an exposure of the limousine liberal attitude. And I think it also demonstrates the divide and the sort of fault line that Trump won the election on, which was this elite coastal group that's benefited wildly from the mixed economy and from the Federal Reserve's monetary policies, and the rest of the country, the so-called flyover states, which represent more, blue-collar values, and to me demonstrates exactly why they lost the election in the first place. It was this disconnect between that attitude, that elite, we're really rich and we're progressive and we're limousine liberals and you're a bunch of trash out there. And to me, I think it was the perfect representation and the perfect symbol of this entire speech and why most people reacted so negatively and bitterly to it.
Yeah, it's interesting, and there are so many reasons why I think the Democrats are losing now, and they've lost Kanye. I mean, it's like they're starting to lose black people. They're in trouble. It's when you look at any of these protests, including a lot of these protests that are racially, that are about race and accusing the right of being racist or whatever, it's a bunch of white people. It's a bunch of college bound or college educated white,
from Ivy League schools,
suburban Ivy Leaguers. And I mean, it's such an elitist movement. It's become that. And I think, they used to at least understand that they had to, even as recent as Bill Clinton, they understood that they needed to appeal to the working class, I guess, Americans and to minority groups that are mostly working class or welfare class, except the Asians. But they don't do that anymore. They don't even know how to do it. They're so removed from it. And
top of the fact that, as an aside, Trump is so broke, she said Trump is so broke, Southwest used him as one of their engines. A little too soon for that one, I think, huh? I mean, this is like a week ago, someone died in a, horrific catastrophe with Southwest. So not only is she, making this really horribly offensive joke where people that are only worth a few $1,000,000 or a few $100,000,000 in her mind are broke, then she's comparing that to a plane crash? What the? I mean...
And not only that, she's insulting people who are broke. If you're so broke that you do X. Trump is so broke, he blah, blah, blah. Like, what's not funny about that is if you're broke, you don't automatically become a bad guy. You know what I mean?
Totally. Absolutely.
She ends her whole thing. Her last joke is Trump is so broke he grabs pussies because he thinks there might be loose change in them. Oh, so people who are broke grab pussies looking for loose change. That's what she's saying. And then her next line is, like an immigrant who was brought here by his parents and didn't do anything wrong, I've got to get the fuck out of here.
Oh my God.
So that is right there is a lecture. Like an immigrant who was brought here by his parents and didn't do anything wrong. Oh, really? You know that? Anyway.
Ugh.
It's so, you know, the joke of lining something up and going, he's so X, you know, then you follow it up with the thing, with a joke, and you do that over and over. You have to actually have something that leads to that. So Trump is so broke is bad because being broke does not lead to something negative.
Right, and she's got the Washington elite, the smartest so-called people who are vacuuming up the nation's wealth to the tune of $4 trillion a year, just parasitically sucking all the wealth out of this country that's being sent and pissed down a toilet in Washington, D.C. Here these people are who are the beneficiaries of this largesse and this theft, sitting there chanting, you know,
Trump
how broke is he?
Trump
is so broke, blah, blah, blah. As if, you know, people that are broke are necessarily bad people and, like...
Yeah, honestly, it's gross. That is such a good point, Doug. It is so gross. Ugh. All right, and then we're going to follow this up now. I'm actually going to play her insulting Sarah Huckabee Sanders, because I think that's worthy of actually listening to. Okay. Get my volume all the way up here.
And of course we have Sarah Huckabee Sanders. We are graced with Sarah's presence tonight.
Keep in mind, she is 4 feet from, she just looks at her and points to her in the video, and she's 4 feet away. She's right there saying this to her face, okay?
Say I'm a little starstruck. I love you as Aunt Lydia on The Handmaid's Tale. Mike Pence.
Okay. If you don't know who Aunt Lydia in The Handmaid's Tale is, The Handmaid's Tale is a show about women who are forced to become wombs, basically. They are forced to have sex with the fathers, not fathers, but men who are in the elite of this very religious, restrictive society, who there's some sort of epidemic where women are not able to have kids. It's not common to be fertile. And so these high elite marriages, these families, they hire a handmaid, or they get a handmaid to have sex with the man. And she's chosen because she's fertile. She's had children or whatever. And so they kidnap her, they take her, and they turn her into just a walking womb. And she has to endure rape and, having sex with these families. And she's told that her highest virtue is getting pregnant from one of these guys. And she's not allowed friends. She's not allowed, any pleasures. She's very, very her movements are restricted. She has to wear this long red cape. I mean, she's basically a Muslim woman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's totally covered.
Exactly.
She doesn't have any rights. She's just and they have these rules, these very, very strict rules. And it's, of course, this very religious environment. So Aunt Lydia is the woman who first takes these women who have been removed from their normal life and put into this situation. And there are some, she has to break their spirit, break them, and then sends them out to these homes to be raped. And they can't be sent there not being docile and completely broken. They have to be broken. So Aunt Lydia is this horrible woman who, tortures these girls. And she's icky. She's horrible, horrible. She's also kind of butch and, unattractive. And so this is actually a dig on...
So she looks like a modern college professor.
No, actually. I think I would say yes, except that she's powerful. So she actually looks more like a working class woman, a butch working class woman who runs a tractor or something like that, you know? But anyway, it's an obvious dig on Sarah's appearance because Sarah's a bigger woman and she has some masculine qualities physically. And definitely that's a dig on Sarah's appearance.
Well, yeah, and the connotation of her being this Puritan.
Yes, also related to her religious leanings, which
who's betraying other women in her circles as this, sort of spinsterish Puritan, enabler and torture. Okay.
On The Handmaid's Tale.
Listen to the crowd, like a few people laugh.
If you haven't seen it, you would love it. Every time Sarah steps up to the podium, I get excited because I'm not really sure what we're going to get. A press briefing, a bunch of lies, or divided into softball teams. It's shirts and skins, and this time don't be such a little bitch, Jim Acosta.
Okay. So
a press briefing, a bunch of lies, or divided into softball
You
teams.
never know what you're going to get. Okay, so there's your setup. A bunch of lies. That's not a joke. That's just a lecture or an opinion. And then, or divided into softball teams. There's the joke. Okay? And that joke is actually homophobic.
Is that the lesbian? Is that what I think it was? Like lesbian softball kind of thing?
Yeah, divided
That's
into
incredible.
softball teams because she's kind of butch. Because Sarah's kind of butch. And then you heard her lower her voice. It's shirts and skins and don't be such a little bitch, That's supposedly how, because Sarah has a deeper voice. Like I said, she's got some masculine traits, and so she's just making fun of her appearance here.
And let's keep in mind why the leftist progressives supposedly hate Trump and his administration so much, because he's a bully, and supposedly, and because hates women,
Yep.
he's anti-feminist,
Right.
he's homophobic,
Yeah.
because he stereotypes and categorizes gay people or
Right.
minorities, and so just keep all that in mind while she's making homophobic stereotypes and criticizing and bullying her for her appearance and her sexuality.
For sure, the softball teams of America of older girls are definitely made up of lesbians. That's definitely true. At least it was in my high school.
100%.
I mean, so it's a stereotype for a reason. And I played softball in high school, and our coach was a out of the closet lesbian woman, and she would not play any straight girls. She wouldn't even let us practice.
Wow.
She was totally biased for the lesbian girls.
Whoa.
Wow.
And none of the lesbian girls were out in high school, not widely, but you knew who they were.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fine. Nobody cared. Nobody freaking cared. And they were probably out to each other to some degree. But anyway, you could tell if you were kind of a girly girl, I guess, at all, you were never played. We couldn't even practice and get better. I remember I quit eventually. I think I quit my sophomore year because in practice, the only thing she would let me do besides sitting there was run bases while other people. So I got to practice running bases. And, which was like practicing stealing and sliding and things like that, which is a
Good
legit
exercise.
thing to practice, but that's all I got to do at practice. So I quit. She was such a bitch. Anyway, that's my personal lesbian hell.
Great story.
All right. Let's
Thanks for
go
taking
back
us
to
there.
Michelle.
I actually really like Sarah. I think she's very resourceful. Like, she burns facts, and then she uses that ash to create a perfect smoky eye. Like, maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's lies. It's probably lies.
All right. So I like Sarah. Oh, that first line drives me crazy. You are being so mean. It's like the mean girl thing to do, to be like, no, I really like Sarah, and now I'm going to like totally go after her. It's like pretend. I mean, obviously she's not pretending that she likes her, but to even throw that in is even more icky to me than if she just came out. You know, so now she's like pretending it's a compliment, only she's going to flip it at the end there. I think she's very resourceful. She burns facts and uses that ash to create a perfect smoky eye. And later, Michelle Wolf defended herself by saying, hey, it was a compliment. She actually said that.
No.
She said, I'm saying she has a great smoky eye. Unbelievable.
Oh, my God.
Like maybe she's born with it as a
Maybelline
commercial.
Yeah.
Commercial. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's lies. It's probably lies. That's the joke. That's the joke. That's a joke.
Yeah, again, it's Kellyanne Conway's a liar.
Yeah.
Sarah Huckabee's a liar.
Mm-hmm.
Republicans are Nazi pedophiles. Ivanka's full of shit.
Yeah.
It's just a continuous op-ed piece applied to different members of his administration with the recurring line that they're liars. There's nothing funny here. It's worse than an op-ed or an opinion piece. I mean, it's because it's baseless and stupid.
Yeah. All right. It goes on.
And I'm never really sure what to call Sarah Huckabee Sanders. You know, is it Sarah Sanders? Is it Sarah Huckabee Sanders? Is it Cousin Huckabee? Is it Auntie Huckabee Sanders? Like, what's Uncle Tom but for white women who disappoint other white women? Oh, I know, Aunt Coulter.
All right.
So not only is she an ugly, disgusting, lying lesbian, but she's an Uncle Tom for white women because she betrays other white women, as if white women's thoughts are a monolithic.
Yeah. Well, we know that's
category.
what the Democrats think, that everybody should be in their lane with the rest of their group. And here's a white woman who's not in her lane. Same with Kellyanne Conway.
Hillary didn't actually lost white women, who like suburban white women, right?
Yeah.
So what white women is she talking about?
Yeah, her.
You know, what a total stereotype.
Group. Again, it's this misunderstanding of the demographic of this country, I guess. I mean, they're in their little circles on the coast. And now I live on the coast, and I think I talked about this on the show once, but I was at like a school meeting for my child's school. You know, they had like a little thing in the evening where all the parents came, and it was like a little potluck thing. And I'm standing in this circle of moms, and one of them says, was talking about something, and then like whispered like it was cancer or something, said, I think she's a conservative. And I was like, oh my God, like, what do I say? Do I say anything? I mean, it was like saying that somebody had freaking cancer. It was really weird.
You should have said, are we allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, right. So that's it. That's her total attack on Sarah Huckabee Sanders. But, you know, I don't know. I mean, as a comedian, like, I can appreciate jokes. I don't really see anything very funny here. It's not very clever. The humor isn't. It's really literally just insulting. And it's more of what the Comedy Central roasts have turned into. I don't know if any of you saw the Ann Coulter roast. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even an Ann Coulter roast. She was just at a roast, and everybody went after her instead of the person being roasted. I can't even remember whose roast it was.
Oh, really? I thought it was an Ann Coulter roast. I thought she was up on the platform.
No, she wasn't. Oh, I wish I could remember. Anyway, they went after her in the same way. They just were insulting to her, and it was kind of icky.
But that's a roast, so you could kind of understand it. I mean, this
wasn't
a roast. This was the White House Correspondents' dinner.
Yeah,
this wasn't the Sarah Sanders roast.
A little bit of roasting would be okay. Let's hope it would be funny. And I don't know. This was pretty nasty. Because it really was all the jokes were, like, the first 75% of the jokes were jokes at the expense of her religion, her appearance, and then that she's a liar, and then that she's an Uncle Tom for white women. So she's betrayed white women by working for Trump.
Yeah, so all the things, she just executed all the things that they supposedly hate Trump for, which is the irony here, that here's this bully completely roasting and insulting a woman who's a few feet away from her for her appearance and her sexuality, just insulting her, making baseless accusations like she's a liar, saying, engaging in this collectivist smear that she's betraying white women. How is, again, it's sort of like the people that there's a million videos like this, but there was one in particular. There's a guy in London who's holding a sign that says, "I believe in free expression," and these activists are practically beating him up and yelling in his face and calling him a Nazi and a fascist. So, again, you've got people accusing other people of being fascists while they're being fascists.
Yeah.
And I think this is great. I think this kind of stuff just furthers the divide. I think it further exposes who these people are.
Yeah.
I think it exposes this sort of dark inner sensibility that these people have, the sort of vile belligerence and the nastiness, and just it exposes their pure hatred, I think, of America, an American sense of life, and for being truly tolerant and being truly accepting, of all the different kinds of people and ideas, and for having reasonable disagreements with people. This is just pure, you're evil, I'm right, you're a bad person, and I'm going to insult you.
Yeah, and so
and
I can do anything to you, and I'm still a moral person.
I have the moral high ground.
Yeah. And Megyn Kelly was there too, and she said this about Megyn Kelly. And of course, Megyn Kelly. What would I do without Megyn Kelly? Probably be more proud of women. That's just mean. It's not funny. I don't know. And then Megyn Kelly got paid $23 million by NBC. Then NBC didn't let her go to the Winter Olympics. She's so white, cold, and expensive, she might as well be the Winter Olympics.
Oh my God, it's horrible. And again, it's if you're a white woman and you don't spout and espouse and parrot left-wing talking points, you're betraying women. So women are only allowed to have one viewpoint, my viewpoint. And if you disagree, you're not independent-minded, you're not empowered. So what does independence and empowerment mean if all women are expected to have the same exact ideology and viewpoint?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, we could go on here. We haven't done the whole entire thing, but I think we've demonstrated our point. And I just really want comedy to be good.
Hey, Sunny, so Mark Stein, the other night they were discussing this, and he said, I like this line, he said, in relation to this, that comedy is dead, that this represents sort of the death of comedy, and that the left is now essentially just stating opinions rather than jokes.
It's true, yeah.
Do you think that that's a true statement?
One of the weirdest things I ever saw was this. It's an old video. I should find it on YouTube, and I could actually play it maybe here or put it on my Facebook page. But it's an old video, and Amy Poehler is in it, and it's like a sketch comedy. And it's not very funny. It's kind of early, when she's very young, and she's obviously done this, it's very, very early sketch comedy video. No one in this is super talented yet. They're still early people working on their careers and stuff. And her punchline for one of her jokes was, "He's a Republican." And I remember thinking, that's a punchline? Like, she was like, done. That was it. It was like, enough said. Ah, ha, 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 I thought, what world is that like a punchline? Only this world is that a punchline, where there's so much wrapped up into that, so much moral judgment that you could make a joke where the punchline is, he's a Republican. And I can't remember the setup, but I just remember thinking, that is so dumb. And that's where this is to me. It's just very much you have to be in that worldview that anybody on the right is so awful. And there are all these character and moral judgments wrapped up in that view to find any of this at all slightly funny. But technically, because they're so busy trying to get their point across, they've forgotten how to tell a joke. I mean, they don't try. They just go, he's a Republican. And that's all they have to do. He's a liar. She's full of shit. You know, it is the death of comedy. And yet, it's creating space for new comedians. And I think all people who even care about writing a good joke are having to gravitate toward either libertarian or the right or something, because if you're on that side, you're so restricted by what you can tell jokes about. And they've just gotten so bad at it too. They don't have to try hard at putting a joke together. I think that it's actually a good sign. You know, when you see people hitting rock bottom like this, it can only mean good stuff, I think, from here on out, because people who
it's a dead end. It
is a dead end. And if you really want humor, you're not going to turn to these people because they're not funny. But it's like also Amy Schumer has gotten unfunny because of she used to be hilarious. I loved Amy Schumer. She would tell, 7 years ago or whatever, she told a really funny joke about, she was on a date with a Mexican and she told a joke about him being a rapist, and it was hilarious. And she had to apologize for that joke, or I should say she did apologize for that joke. And when she did, I was like, oh, well, that's it. It's over for her. And then her new special came out like a year later, and it was horrible. It was just like this. It was just kind of crude. It's like all she could do was find laughs in crudeness. And it was very self-effacing because she can't make fun of anybody or anything because nothing's safe. And even making fun of herself, she has to be careful because she can't fat shame. And she's come out with this new movie where she plays a white, overweight woman who's kind of unhappy, has self-esteem issues. And she's been criticized for her white privilege for that, because you're not allowed to highlight that a blonde, slightly overweight white woman should feel bad about herself or might feel bad about herself. What a bitch for feeling bad about herself because she's white and blonde and privileged. I'm not kidding you. That is literally what the left is saying about her new movie.
Well, then think of what it says about non-white women. So basically they're saying, like, you're pathetic and horrible and disgusting and a loser if you're a non-white.
Yeah, only black people are allowed to or can possibly have low self-esteem.
Right. That's exactly what it implies.
It really does. Think about that. So freaking awful. And I'm not kidding you. That is the criticism. So a white woman is not allowed to make a movie about her own experience. Like, that's just, it is considered.
Only black people and minorities are so pathetic that they could have low self-esteem.
Right.
Us blonde white women, we're so wonderful just by our very existence that how dare we feel any sort of like negativity. It's amazing.
I know, it is amazing. But that, and she's getting that because she's a social justice warrior. So she gets that kind of criticism. And to her credit, she hasn't really backed down from, of course she makes these sicky statements of like, this is a universal experience of all women. And, so instead of saying, fuck off, you crazies, that's racist. Anyway, so it's really too bad because it's really turning some great comedians into crap.
Well, I mean, it's not only is it a cultural dead end, and it's a political dead end, because this is what informs this whole method of thinking is we're right, you're wrong. And it's because they don't think anymore. They just attach their own emotional disposition and their need, I guess, of empathy, and they equate that with the political platform of the left. So they say, oh, we want to, we want X, we want this kind of, we want to help people, we're empathetic, therefore we need the leftist political program. And there's no consideration that the leftist political program is not empathetic. It doesn't help people. It's not good for anyone. So, in other words, their oppressor versus oppressed Marxism puts them in a us or them category. There's no nuance. There's no, well, what's the difference between capitalism and socialism? It's simply, I care, I'm a good person, therefore socialism, therefore everyone else is bad and evil. And so,
and white people suck.
And white people are part of the oppressors.
Yeah.
So, who's an oppressor and who's the oppressed? And then you attach yourself to that, and that's all you can talk about. And so anyone who disagrees with me, they must hate people. They must be an oppressor. They're beyond the pale. I can insult them. I can punch them. I can attack them. I can shut them down. I can do anything what I want to them.
Look what's happening to Kanye West. It's so funny.
Yeah, he's been physically threatened. His life's being threatened.
Yeah, and even his friends are like, Kanye, say it ain't so. Like they're crying about, oh no, what? It's this huge deal.
No, because he's going from because they literally can't think. They can't say, well, why does he think this? Maybe he has a different viewpoint. Maybe I should consider the reasons why he thinks this. It's just
sane world, nobody would give a shit.
He's moving to the oppressor camp.
In a sane world, nobody would care. People would be like, oh, Kanye's a Republican? Oh. Like, who cares?
Right.
Nobody used to care. Like, when I was young, it wasn't a thing. It really wasn't.
Again, because they have this moral idealism attached to their oppressor versus oppressed. So this is literally like a global struggle of good versus evil. In
'84, everybody voted for Reagan. Everybody.
Except Minnesota.
To our everlasting pride. All right, that's it for our show today. I have a joke. I have to tell my joke, which is now I'm like worried. I shouldn't have told this joke at the end of a podcast where I just ripped apart all of these jokes, because it's not that great of a joke, but it's still a funny
Someone
joke.
else can do a podcast.
Somebody's going to rip apart my joke. Thanks for all of you who hung out until the end. For staying until the end, you get this joke. Now that's a build-up, right? Now I feel like I have to qualify it too, because it's an immigration joke. So be prepared. You might not agree with this joke. Okay. Obviously, there's some strong feelings about immigration in our circles. Okay.
Not really.
A Mexican, an Arab, and a redneck girl are in the same bar. When the Mexican finishes his beer, he throws his glass in the air, pulls out his pistol, and shoots the glass to pieces. And he says, "In Mexico, our glasses are so cheap, we don't need to drink with the same one twice." The Arab, obviously impressed by this, drinks his beer, throws it into the air, pulls out his AK-47, and shoots the glass to pieces. He says, here's my Arab accent. Let's see.
Can't wait.
I can't do it. I'm just going to do it in my mind.
No, do it. Come on.
In the Arab world, we have so much sand to make glasses that we don't need to drink with the same one twice either. The redneck girl, cool as a cucumber, picks up her beer, downs it in one gulp, throws the glass into the air, whips out her .45, and shoots the Mexican and the Arab. Catching her glass, setting it on the bar, and calling for a refill, she says, "In America, we have so many illegal aliens that we don't have to drink with the same ones twice."
Oh!
Ooh. All right.
Oh,
thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the House of Sunny podcast. Go check out Sunny on YouTube at her channel, House of Sunny. Everything Sunny does is fan-funded, and because she's likely to get kicked off and demonetized on every platform at some point, please support her over at patreon.com/House of Sunny. Become one of Sunny's elite squad and have access to behind-the-scenes footage, t-shirts, special events, and more.